My name is Sarah. And before I even opened my eyes, the world had already decided my worth. The day I was born, no sweets were shared, no celebration echoed, only disappointment. As I was a girl, while my brother ran free under the open sky, I was taught to shrink, to stay silent, to obey. They told me girls are burdens, objects, responsibilities to pass on. But they were wrong. And this is the moment my story changed, the moment I decided I would no longer live inside the cage built for me. I chose my voice. I chose my dreams. I chose myself. My name is Amina, and I grew up in a place where dreams had limits. Limits that were different for boys and girls. I didn't understand it in the beginning. When you're a child, you don't notice cages. You only feel when your wings start brushing against the bars. My world was small. A narrow street with old brick houses, a dusty schoolyard, and a home where silence spoke louder than words. But inside me, a storm was brewing long before I knew how to name it. I was the second daughter in my family, born on a rainy night. My mother always told me that the sky cried because it already knew the struggles I would face. She said it jokingly, but I often wondered if there was truth hidden inside her smile. When my father held me for the first time, he didn't show disappointment, but the relatives around him didn't hide theirs. "Another girl," someone whispered. "Better luck next time." My mother hugged me tightly, as if her arms could shield me from the world's judgments. Growing up, my older sister Noor and I were taught to be careful, calm, quiet. Noor accepted these rules easily, maybe because she was gentle by nature. But I questioned everything. I wanted to climb trees, run barefoot, race with the boys from the neighborhood. Every time I tried, my grandmother's sharp voice dragged me back inside. "Girls must know their place," she said. "Respect is earned through silence." I never understood how silence could earn anything, especially respect. My brother, the only son, was the sun around which everyone else seemed to orbit. His mistakes were forgiven before they were even made. When he broke a vase, my grandmother said, "Boys are energetic." When Noor accidentally spilled milk, she was scolded for being careless. And when I spoke too loudly or laughed too freely, I was told, "Girls who behave like boys bring shame." At school, I found a breath of freedom. Teachers noticed my curiosity, my constant questions, my hunger to understand the world beyond our village. Books made me feel powerful in a way nothing else did. They whispered promises of opportunities, of choices, of a future where I could become someone more than a daughter waiting for marriage. But even in school, the whispers followed me. Why does she answer so much in class? Why does she sit with boys during group work? Doesn't she know how a girl should behave? Their words were like invisible hands tugging at my sleeves, trying to pull me back into the mold society had carved for generations. When I turned 15, a shift happened in my house. The way relatives looked at me changed. Their conversations became more pointed, more concerned, more intrusive. "She is almost grown now," an aunt said one evening while sipping tea. "You should start looking for a suitable husband. Girls should not wait too long." Another relative nodded. "The world is dangerous. Better to marry her early than risk dishonor." These words unsettled me deeply. I wasn't ready. I had dreams so large they barely fit into my chest. I wanted to study further, maybe become a journalist, maybe travel, maybe simply choose my own life. But to them, my dreams were obstacles. My ambitions were threats. One night, I overheard my father talking to my uncle about a proposal. They spoke about me like I was a task to be completed, a burden to be transferred. My heart felt like it was slipping out of my body. I couldn't sleep. I lay awake imagining a life trapped in someone else's home, someone else's decisions, someone else's expectations. A life where my voice would matter even less than it did now. That night became a turning point. I realized that if I didn't fight for my future, no one else would. I knew it would be difficult, risky even, but silence would cost me more than courage ever could. The next morning, I made a decision that would change everything. Not just for me, but for the generations of girls who would come after me. The morning after my sleepless night felt heavier than usual, as if the air itself knew I was about to cross a line no girl in my family had ever dared to touch. I sat quietly at the breakfast mat, my heart thumping loudly in my ears. My father was sipping tea, half listening to my mother talk about chores. My brother scrolled through his phone, carefree as always. Noor sat beside me, her eyes tired from the pressure she had already accepted without resistance. I looked at each of them, knowing that what I was about to say could change everything. I gathered all the courage I had stored for years, courage built from every moment I had been told to stay silent. "Papa," I said softly. My voice trembled at the edges. He lowered his cup and looked at me with mild concern, the kind that appears when a daughter rarely speaks up. "Yes, Amina? I know you are thinking about my marriage," I began. My hands were cold, my stomach twisting painfully. "But I'm not ready. I don't want to get married now. I want to study. I want to build a future for myself." The room fell still. Noor stiffened beside me. My brother finally looked up, surprised. My grandmother, who had been listening from the corner, frowned deeply, as if my words carried shame instead of dreams. My father's brows knitted. "Amina," he said slowly, "you know how society works. People will talk. A girl your age. If we delay too much, proposals may not come. Everyone will question our upbringing." I felt fear rise in my throat, but I pushed it down. "People will talk no matter what we do," I whispered. "But if I stop studying now, if I give up everything I dream of, who will I become? Just another girl who didn't get a chance." My voice cracked, but my determination didn't. For a moment my father didn't speak. I could see the conflict in his eyes, the weight of tradition battling the love he had for his daughter. My grandmother spoke sharply before he could answer. "This is nonsense. Girls don't need education. They need husbands. Amina, don't talk like this. You'll bring shame to this family." I looked at her, not with anger, but with a deep sadness. She had lived her whole life inside the walls others built for her. She couldn't imagine a world outside them. My mother finally spoke, quietly but firmly. "Let her finish." That single sentence felt like a hand on my back steadying me. I continued. "Papa, I promise I will make you proud. If you let me study, if you let me choose my own path, I won't disappoint you. Just give me a chance." Silence stretched across the room. My father looked down at his hands, as if searching for answers hidden in the lines of his palms. I held my breath, afraid of what he would say next. "I need time to think," he finally murmured. For the next few days the house felt tense. My grandmother muttered disapproval every chance she got. Relatives called and questioned. My brother avoided the topic entirely. Noor watched me with a strange mix of fear and admiration. But my mother, she stayed close. She didn't say much, but her presence was enough. It felt like she was rooting for me in the quietest, strongest way possible. One evening, just before sunset, my father returned from work earlier than usual. His face was unreadable. He called both my mother and me to the living room. My heart pounded as I stepped forward. He looked at me for a long moment, then sighed. A long, tired sigh that carried years of tradition, expectation, and conflict. "Amina," he said, "I won't force you to marry. Not now." My breath caught. My eyes widened. He continued, "You want to study? Fine. You can. But understand, this won't be easy. People will judge. Relatives will question. But I will stand with you. Just make something of your life." Tears flooded my eyes before I could stop them. I nodded rapidly, my voice breaking. "I will, Papa. I promise." My mother smiled softly, a smile I had rarely seen before. One filled with hope instead of resignation. It felt like witnessing a flower bloom after years of drought. I knew the world outside had not changed. The gossips would continue, the judgments would follow, the path would still be hard. But inside our home, a door had been unlocked. A future had been allowed to breathe. And for the first time I felt something I had never felt before. Freedom stretching its fragile wings inside me, ready to fly. If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Share it. Someone out there needs courage today, and your share might change a girl's life. Subscribe for more stories that raise voices, break silence, and inspire strength. Support the girls around you. Stand with them. Believe in them. Together we can change the future one voice at a time. Asterisk.